All right, happy Monday. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We begin at the White House, where President Trump is calling on Senate Majority Leader John Thune to fire the Senate parliamentarian. I've been calling for this for like a year, which he can do at his will, so we can pass the Save America Act. Trump calling the parliamentarian a nasty holdover from Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell, who caters to Democrats and has no respect for Republicans. I have my doubts that Thune is actually going to do anything, but we'll see. Also, remember this?
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
I feel you, Mr. President. Here we are a year later, where both sides exchanging strikes over the weekend, despite Trump trying to negotiate a peace deal, and now both appear to have, paused them after Trump called on them to stop immediately. I don't know. And it's coming. Those are the words of border czar Tom Homan, saying that New York City is about to see its largest deployment of ICE officers yet. As a response, Governor Kathy Hochul's legislation providing New Yorkers with added protection from federal agents. I can't wait to see what this administration has in store and how this goes. But first, a week later, still counting ballots, most of which are going to Democrats. Weird. Let's do this. Okay, forgive me. I am struggling to see how in a state that has, $20 billion in unemployment fraud, $267 million in Medi-Cal hospice fraud, $270 million in Medi-Cal prescription fraud, just had 12 people sentenced in a $15 million identity theft scam, 72 sentenced in postal fraud. LA City Council members have recently been charged with and convicted of bribery, racketeering, and involving contracts. Newsom's ex-chief of staff indicted on bank wire fraud. Over the last 10 years, 576 public officials in California have been convicted on federal corruption charges, and this is all according to the Department of Justice. This is not me. These are audits, and from the Department of Justice, its own state even reports it. And that same state doesn't want me to question its election after a week, and they still haven't counted all the ballots? Okay. This LA mayor election is a doozy. One, how are you not done counting? Florida counts more votes in 8 minutes than you have done in the last week. And two, when I see 24,000 votes counted and not a single one goes to Pratt, the Republican, in that batch, okay. Pratt was up by 10 points when the polls closed last Tuesday. Now some places are calling him dropping down into third, which means the race would be between two Democrats and would bump Pratt out entirely. I mean, what are the odds of that? And Nithya Raman, even she was surprised after this, after basically conceding on election night.
I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in this city.
In this recent ballot drop, Nithya Raman picks up a huge swath of the votes, more than Karen Bass. Can't imagine why that would be. And they're calling these random surging updates. It's a data reporting lag, which is why they're saying Spencer Pratt's not getting a bunch at the same time. I don't know. But if you question this, you're the conspiracy theorist, not only for the mayor, but for the governor's race, too, even though we have seen this before. Remember, this band has played November 30th, 2010, 4 weeks after losing the election as AG of California. Kamala Harris suddenly wins due to mail-in surge ballots from L.A.
4 weeks after the November 2nd election, California finally has declared a winner in the Attorney General race. Harris finished so close to her Republican opponent that it took a month to finish counting every vote. She won by less than 1 percentage point.
But Democrats can question any election they lose.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
But what I observed as a voter, as a citizen of Illinois, 4 years ago, were troubling evidence of the fact that not every vote was being counted.
First domino is about to fall.
Right, so we're going to push our feelings aside and understand this is statistically unlikely.
This ain't no conspiracy theory.
A recent poll shows 41% of people who voted for Harris say the president did not legitimately win the 2024 election.
But Republicans can't question anything, not even statistical improbabilities. Remember when we told you that every state that Kamala won didn't have voter ID? Ain't that a coincidence? And to make everyone feel content, California is... Oh, wait, no, actually, California's not doing anything. They're blocking a federal audit of their voter rolls still today. Look, can I walk into a courtroom and prove anyone did anything illegal? No, I cannot. But it is the duty of the government. This is the failure here. This is the duty of the government to make me trust their system. That's their burden. That's why I pay taxes, and that's why you call them public servants, serving the public. I don't feel too serviced right now. And taking a week to count votes, that's not service either, and it's certainly not helping their case. And Trump has absolutely had it with this. He just got up and was like, I'm out. Just bounced out of an interview this weekend when they tried to poo-poo the optics of what all of us are seeing with our own two eyes.
They did to the lives of people. They destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
Right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But let me ask you about Todd Blanche. Listen to me. Let's talk about Todd Blanche. There's tremendous evidence. There's nothing but evidence. The election was rigged. It was a dirty election. And it's happening again right now in California. Presented evidence.
It's happening right now in California. Right now, it's look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
Are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with it. You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence?
By the way, I love how they staged that tractor. That's the closest that woman's ever been to a tractor. She lives in a 60-story concrete town. Yeah, look, I'm there too, man. Are you there to ask questions, or are you there to argue with the guy? This is why Trump keeps calling the media the enemy of the people, because they ask him a question and then they argue with his answer. And what did they give to Biden? It wouldn't be nearly as bad. It would not be nearly as bad if they were applying the equal scrutiny to Joe Biden. What did they ask him? His favorite ice cream?
Mr. President, what did you order?
Chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah.
First off, that's disgusting. Mint chocolate chip only, most likely just vanilla with rainbow sprinkles. That's my go-to. Yeah, but that's why Trump gets so annoyed at these press people. How about a question from the crowd like, yo, how come you call lid every day at 2 p.m.? Or, any lib want to question this?
MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power.
Any reporter want to ask him why he stood in front of a red lit up building flanked by Marines calling half the country a threat to democracy? No, any takers? No, yeah, that's why Trump's walking off the set with that woman. This is everywhere. Anytime you point out any legitimate wrongs that you can see with your own two eyes, it could be policy failures, it could be fraud. No, you can't do that. And if the people getting arrested for it happen to be minorities, you best not be pointing that out, because then you're racist. California isn't the only state with shenanigans. Minnesota has more cattywampus afoot. House Oversight drops a massive report that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison knew this fraud was going on in their state, and they did nothing. They actually covered it up. Remember when they told us this, hey, this isn't happening?
Is it racist for a government official to identify fraud?
No.
No. Is it Islamophobic?
To identify fraud?
To identify fraud?
No, I don't believe it would be.
How come multiple whistleblowers have said that your administration told them not to say anything about widespread fraud across multiple agencies because doing so would be considered racist or Islamophobic?
I can't speak to it because it's not anything I would say.
Under oath, yeah. State officials raised credible systemic fraud concerns internally in his own administration. Warnings were elevated all the way to the senior levels in Walz's office and Ellison's office, by the way. This included massive unexplained funding spikes. Autism-related services ballooned dramatically, and the long-standing issues documented in a 2019 Minnesota Legislative Auditor report on CCAP fraud. Again, nothing to see here. All over the country, people have gone to jail, grants have been revoked, entire businesses have been shut down, and random huge swaths of ballots just poof appear out of nowhere a week after the election. Oh, they were postmarked before Election Day. Sorry. Now you want to tell me that I'm off base for asking these questions? Like, give me any other explanation than, no, don't believe that. You're a bad person. I can see this with my own two eyes. Again, it's the government's job to prove to me through transparency and effort, we're going to go into transparency in the next block too, that my tax dollars are not being wasted, that I should trust. Give me a reason to trust the government. The government's burden is to give me a reason to trust them. And normally our elections sort this out if we don't like them. But California, and I say may have found a way around that. Former Lieutenant Governor of California, Abel Maldonado, and former spokesperson at the and Deputy Assistant Secretary at DHS, Katie Zacharia. Abel, you've been through this. I mean, is this just like round 7, par for the course?
Round 7, par for the course. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment for the great state of California. The world capital, high-tech capital of the world, Silicon Valley, can't count votes on time, Carl. You can't make this up. But the legislature, Gavin Newsom and the legislature, they take it one step further. In essence, what they've done here, Carl, they've actually legalized voter fraud in California because they went to every county and they went to every city and said, you cannot ask for voter ID. You cannot ask for an ID to vote, number one. That's number one. Then they go in and they mail a ballot to everybody, millions of ballots throughout the state, on every kitchen table, everywhere, even if you don't ask for them. They legalize fraud here, Carl. We're not making this up. This is California. It's an embarrassment.
But Katie, the other thing too is like Abel was just saying, whether you request one or not, they just send a ballot to every home. How does that ballot? Maybe that ballot gets sent back by one person in the household. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But this is like sending a Social Security card to every single registered address in America. And if somebody gets it who's not the recipient of it, oh, well, I mean, like, should have taken better care, I guess, right?
This goes to the fact that Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch had to sue LA County in 2019 to get their voter rolls cleared. And how many people did they have to kick off the voter rolls? They had not kicked anyone off their voter rolls in 20 years. That was 1.5 million people. 1.5 million had been kicked off. But the first question is, why did Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch have to sue the county in order to clean up their voter rolls? And second, and more importantly, in the last 6 to 7 years, Mayor Bass and Eric Garcetti, the former mayor, have overseen the largest exodus out of Los Angeles County out of any other city in the United States. Okay, so now we have a 400 to 500,000 person exodus. And likely, very likely, they are not keeping track of that exodus, Carl. So how many people are on those voter rolls still? How many of those ballots are being mailed to people, to their old homes that left to Texas? And how many people are voting for them? This is something that nobody's talking about, but absolutely needs to be evaluated.
There's somebody like running for something in Michigan who openly admits that she voted in California when she lived in Michigan. And so it's just like, okay. Abel, I got to get Spencer Pratt. I mean, not to mention the whole city burnt down there. That's what spawned him to run for mayor. But he, still in high hopes over potentially keeping the top 2 slots here. Folks, we're dealing with a fraction of percentage of point. There's still hundreds of thousands of votes outstanding, and LA officials have given us the next 3 weeks to count. Let's get her done. I mean, is it possible he stays in the top 2?
You know what? It's going to be close. Obviously, Spencer was up by, 10 points on election night. Yep. Now he's down by 1 point, Carl. I mean, you just can't make this up. And it's, I don't even think the Democrats can believe what's going on. But Spencer, you got to understand, the voting registration population in LA County, Carl's 15% Republican. I think Spencer's at 27%. He's way overperforming. He's doing great, actually, for being a Republican and running for the job there, Carl. The problem we have here, as Katie stated, and we've been stating here in the show, is that everybody gets a ballot. My son's 26. He got a ballot. He didn't ask for a ballot. The ballot was on the table. I could have taken it in, and then the state says, you don't even have to come to a polling booth. Just go drop it off at a box somewhere. Who cares?
Right, and to register to vote, all you need is like a student ID or a gym membership or something like. But here's the other thing, too. they're blocking the audit of these voter rolls because of, gym memberships being used as your proof of citizenship. Katie?
Listen,
Go ahead, Katie.
We're also a sanctuary state, and so we had illegal aliens flooding this city, flooding this state, okay? And then we had the current mayor, Karen Bass, giving them cash cards to stay home and evade ICE, and yet we're not going to ask for valid ID to go vote. Therein lies a huge problem. Another huge problem with California is we don't have a regulation on who's going to those polls, not just because of no voter ID, but because we have this open blanket policy that you can be an illegal alien and live in this city and get a cash card from the mayor to stay home and evade ICE. So they don't care about the laws. They don't care about following the law. And I want to answer quickly. I've been a wet blanket on Spencer Pratt. I love Spencer Pratt. He's ran a great campaign, but as a Californian, I've seen this happen time and time again. Can he make it? Very unlikely, because they favor Raman, because she'll drop out and get Karen Bass, the clean slate, to be mayor.
Yeah. So wild. Anyway, Katie, Abel, we appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Carl.
All right, coming up, Scott Pelley runs into the New York Times to literally cry after being canned by CBS. Oh, and compared his journalisming to fighting the bad guys overseas. Yeah, I'm going to rip that guy apart in a sec. But first, what's going on between the FBI and the leading conservative organization Katie just mentioned, Judicial Watch? Fighting, like they're literally going back and forth now over a botched FOIA. Judicial Watch's Christina Bobb going to join me next.
A Social Security update. Millions collect Social Security, but 70% of Americans don't get their full benefits. Now, a new report shows how to boost your Social Security by as much as $188,000. Author Matthew Allen reveals 5 key strategies in a new report. Newsmax calls it the best guide for retirees. Everyone needs this free Social Security report. Act today to get your full benefits.
Millions of people trust Prevagen for their brain.
I've been taking Prevagen for 4 years now. It's a life changer.
I've been taking Prevagen for 8 years now, and it's still helping me tremendously.
Well, I've been taking Prevagen, I know, for over 10 years.
Why do more people choose Prevagen year after year more than any other brain supplement?
Because it just works.
Prevagen is the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years. Prevagen, for your brain.
If you have wet AMD or DME, you never want to lose sight of the things you love. And your condition doesn't have to steal the moment. Long-lasting EYLEA HD delivers powerful vision improvements that can save your vision for the future. EYLEA HD is the first and only treatment for wet AMD and DME that gives you a chance for 5 months between injections after 1 year of successful response. Don't take EYLEA HD if you have an eye infection, eye pain, redness, or are allergic to it. Eye injections like EYLEA HD may cause eye infection, separation of the retina, rare but severe swelling of blood vessels in the eye, or increased eye pressure. There is an uncommon risk of heart attack or stroke. There's still so much to see. Ask about next generation EYLEA HD, a treatment retina specialists trust.
Oh, get a load of this. Judicial Watch today posting a new report based on the documents it received from the Justice Department, bringing new light to the details in the attempted assassination of President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, 2024. I'm going to go all through all this in a sec, but this report was an update to a post on Friday issued by Judicial Watch based on those heavily redacted files they got from the FBI that you're seeing on your screen right now. Okay, this is following their Freedom of Information Act lawsuit requesting files on what happened in Butler, because we still don't have many answers. Judicial Watch, along with basically most people across social media and the internet, came to the same conclusion that according to these documents, it appeared that crooks had been in contact with a Butler County sheriff prior to the assassination attempt, which the FBI is now saying that's not the case. And this is where it gets really weird. The FBI's Rapid Response X account replying, "This is clickbait lie, Judicial Watch, which is now nothing more than the fake news media." Important to note that Judicial Watch is not a media organization. It's a legal group of lawyers. It's a nonprofit, and they have historically been one of Trump's most ardent legal defenders since day one. It went on. From the rapid response account, the unredacted documents are interviews of Thomas Crooks by college instructors, not cops, wherein those instructors reference to having emailed Thomas Crooks about coursework. They make no reference to contact between Thomas Crooks and any police department. Then FBI Director Kash Patel sharing the post on X saying facts over clickbait. But now both Judicial Watch, stay with me here, I know this gets weedy, both Judicial Watch and Patel's posts were both community noted, demonstrating how messy and unclear this has been. The accusations of lying also didn't sit well with Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton, who we have on this show sometimes, who posted yesterday that Kash Patel would promote this malicious, false, and juvenile FBI post is disturbing. Judicial Watch fairly interpreted heavily redacted documents produced by the FBI and DOJ after waiting nearly 2 years and litigating it to call me and Judicial Watch liars for doing so based on secret material which you have withheld from us, and the court is beneath contempt. Fitton asking the FBI to send Judicial Watch any unredacted documents so they can update it based on what they're saying, calling on Patel to apologize, delete the tweets, and immediately release the other 75,000 pages that they didn't get to see. Keep in mind, Fitton is investigating Biden's FBI. Nobody's investigating Patel. As I just said on the last block, our government has a responsibility to maintain trust with the public. That trust comes apart when they hide things and overly redact certain things. Judicial Watch attorney and author of Defiant Inside Mar-a-Lago Raid and the Left's Ongoing Lawfare, Christina Bobb. All right, what is going on here?
Well, that's a great question. I so appreciate your monologue because we were kind of scratching our heads at Judicial Watch going, why is Kash Patel attacking us? We're trying to expose what happened in Butler. And one, they're withholding the documents in the first place, 75,000 records, and they've turned over about 24, maybe 25 documents that are heavily redacted. Joke. Right. And we fairly interpreted them. If you look through the community notes, as you noted, as well as Grok interpreted the same way that we did. Yep. And it's almost like the FBI expected us to be able to see through the redactions and know what was behind them. But obviously we couldn't. So, you know, I think the easy answer here would have...
That looks like the Epstein files. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy answer would have been to say, you know, we understand why it looked that way. We're going to release more that have less redactions and it will become clear. Just sit tight. But instead to come and attack us. And just for the viewers that don't know, Judicial Watch is the group that discovered that Hillary Clinton had a secret email server. Yes. So a lot of our reports have been incredibly favorable to the president. So we were kind of scratching our heads going, what's going on here? So it was weird for us, too.
I know. It's just so weird. But today, also, Tom Fitton announced that Judicial Watch had updated the press release, focusing on the revelation that the SWAT officer, and this is according to your guys' reporting, based on those FOIAs, that the SWAT officer recovered a, quote, gray remote device with an antenna from which would-be assassin Thomas Crooks pocket after he was killed, and that the Butler County emergency responder who was on the roof where Crooks's body was being examined was told to evacuate the roof. Because of that, it was like a canine got a, quote, hit on the building. What is this?
It's suspicious is what it is. You know, I don't know. I can infer the same things that you can infer, which is why would they clear out that officer? Why, you know, was there actually a hit? If there was a hit, was there an explosive device? You know, it raises so many more questions than answers, and they're not releasing the documents. So as they said in their tweet, they said the unredacted versions say, you know, XYZ, but they haven't produced those. Yeah. So all we can do is take their word at it, and they're not giving us a lot of information.
I don't understand the secrecy around it. Like the guy trying to take, like, I feel like Trump would be like, yeah, get this stuff out immediately. Yeah. Have a nice day. But I don't know. You guys and Tom Fitton over there, you guys do some great work. So do not be dissuaded by, we'll call this a misunderstanding.
Yes. Thank you, Carl.
All right. Christina Bobb, appreciate it. All right. Coming up, an Arkansas father and GOP sheriff candidate who was charged for murdering his daughter's abuser just got a major win. He's going to join us next.
I've been a Marine Corps attack pilot, a White House correspondent, and a wartime journalist. But my biggest responsibility is finding the truth in this chaotic, deceptive environment.
Watch Greg Kelly Reports, only on Newsmax.
The road to greatness is long, but greatness isn't just forged from within. It has to be proven on the greatest stage of all.
The hype is real! This is the moment we have all been waiting for.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep coming back.
Break away to what's possible with Tremfya.
The only IL-23 blocker for Crohn's and UC to offer self-administration from the start.
Tremfya can help with symptom relief as early as 4 weeks, remission at 12 weeks, 1 year, and 2 years.
Some had visible repair of their intestinal lining. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Break away with Tremfya.
Backed by over 15 years of clinical research. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Relay gives us visibility into not just the amount of money we have, but the work that it's doing. And it gives us something to build toward without so much of the financial anxiety that we had before.
Folks, I don't know if it gets any more American than this. Remember the story we told you about, 2024, the Lonkie County, Arkansas, on October 8th, 2024. A father, Aaron Spencer, noticed that his 14-year-old daughter was missing. He got in his truck and he went out to search for her. He found her in Michael Fossler's truck, a 67-year-old who the daughter had previously accused of sexually abusing her. Now, the family had a no-contact order in place for this guy, accusing him of stalking and raping their daughter over that summer. Now, Fossler had been arrested in July. After finding them together, Spencer forced the truck off the road, confronted Fossler, and then he shot him multiple times and he killed him. And then he called 911 to report the shooting. This was the sheriff at the time, John Stately, and what he had to say.
Official charges have not been filed. I have not, nor will I, advocate for any specific charge. This is a tragic situation, and my thoughts and prayers are with all those involved. We will continue our investigation and submit the findings to the prosecutor for review.
But then Spencer was charged with second-degree murder. And as he awaited trial, he decided, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and run for sheriff of the county. And then he won the Republican primary in March with 53%, beating out the incumbent sheriff and, obviously candidate David Bufford. And then on Thursday, a judge dropped all of the charges after the dash cam footage that may have captured the shooting was lost by law enforcement. Weird. Now, Aaron's a free man on the November ballot. The man himself, Lonky County Sheriff nominee and airborne veteran Aaron Spencer. Aaron, your story is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So you basically, I have a daughter. I would probably hand out a dirt nap for the same reason. Tell us what happened and how you came to run for sheriff.
Well, through my own case, I saw all the systematic failures that we were dealing with here with the sheriff's department and with the judicial system. And I chose that, I'm not going to sit idly by and allow this to happen to another father or another parent in our own community.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. But here's the problem, though. Nowadays, look at, Daniel Penny. The guy literally saves people on a subway and then gets dragged through a murder trial for defending people. You're on the lucky, and thankfully you had a sane group of people, apparently a sane judge or jury or whatever you had. This could have gone really wrong.
Yeah, it actually was going wrong for quite some time. We had quite a few legal hurdles to work through over this last year. And, the Supreme Court has done a phenomenal job weighing the issues that we brought before them previously with a gag order that they removed, as well as actually removing the original judge from the case. And so they ended up appointing a new judge, retired judge, to the case, and he was able to weigh all the facts, the motions and everything else, and see what was really going on here. And at the end of the day, he put in his ruling and dismissed the case based off of due process violations.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to get to here is the body cam footage that, you say that would have supported your case, that just vanished. It was never there. It's they lost the dash cam footage?
Yeah, there was a dash cam in the perpetrator's vehicle, and the SD card to it supposedly went missing. So that was while it was in the sheriff's custody, and
wow,
that's what they found.
That is so. I'm assuming this is a pretty red area, and you are likely to win the general election for sheriff. Is that correct?
I would say I have a very good chance. It's definitely a very red area. I do have another gentleman that's running against me on the independent ticket, but it's looking very good from our camp.
So what's the first thing you do when you take charge of this place if you win?
Oh, the first thing I do, I think we're going to have to start with a legislative audit, forensic audits, look at the personnel. But the most important thing is restructure the sheriff's department in order to earn back the trust of the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, anybody who goes to war for their daughter and is willing to do that, you got my vote, sir. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, Aaron Spencer. Okay, coming up. Fired 60 Minutes host Scott Pelley running to the New York Times for his first sit-down interview. Wait until you hear what he compares his, quote, service at CBS to. Get bent, bro. Culture Clash next.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. That decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
For many veterans, the hardest battles are fought alone. It doesn't need to be that way. Healing begins through connection. Reach out to Wounded Warrior Project for help.
Ever wished you could brew your own beer, but figured it was too complicated, too messy, too much effort? Well, now you can. Meet Pinter, the home beer system everyone's talking about. Fresh beer, brewed and tapped by you. No fuss, no guesswork. Just brew, chill, tap, done. You can craft 12 pints with every brew. Crisp lager, juicy and hoppy IPAs, smooth stouts. Plus, brew beers from top craft breweries you know and love. From the first tap to the last toast, hosting just got an upgrade. Nothing beats sharing your own fresh beer with friends. You don't need a garage brewery. You don't need a chemistry set. You just need a pinter. Right now, get your pinter free when you join our flexible beer plan. Choose your beers, brew fresh at home, and tap into the world's best beer experience. Free pinter. Freshly brewed beer. Zero fuss. Go to pinter.com/spring to claim your offer today.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
To dream the impossible dream. To reach the unreachable star. World Cup champions. We follow the star.
What? You think the U.S. is going to win the World Cup?
Hey, you don't believe in miracles?
The pain is gone. It's gone. I was wheeled in. I couldn't even move 5 feet without the wheelchair. I was in awful pain.
Are you able to get onto the bed?
I doubt it.
No?
We went through the whole intake interview, did the MRI, x-rays. I was awake through the surgery, came back to recovery. I was there for 10 minutes, and I got up and I walked.
Venati succeeds where others fail.
Right on cue, Scott Pelley ran to the New York Times to cry about being fired from CBS, comparing his work over there to the U.S. military. Roll it.
I've never worn the uniform, but I've been in combat for this country. There is no democracy without journalism. It can't be done.
Yeah, happy Pride Month to you too, pal. Double barrel middle finger for that one. You said it yourself. You've never worn the uniform. Sure, you went to the Middle East to report on the wars and you were in the green zone or whatever, but you are not fighting for anything. You got paid 7 figures to run your... Do not get it twisted. Daily Caller senior politics reporter Ashley Brasfield and political strategist, CEO of Compass Strategies, Luke Ball, is going to bail me out before I get fired for saying something ridiculous. Luke, this is really dumb.
I don't know if I'm going to bail you out. I had a couple of things cross my mind that my discretion filter called on the way out, but I don't think that Scott's getting any Purple Hearts from anybody. But the left-wing media and the legacy media, though I repeat myself, are all in this echo chamber where they think they are in the battle for democracy, that they are the arbiters of the United States Constitution and the Republic against what? The will of the people, because they're fighting against Trump. They're fighting against MAGA. They hate everything we stand for because we stand for the voice of the people.
Ashley, I look at this and it's like, I mean, you're a reporter. Would you ever say, like, yes, I was basically in combat, drape my, my career's coffin in the rainbow flag?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think this shows that somebody's been in Washington, D.C. or New York City getting pats on the backs way too long in journalism and media. I mean, look, like you had guys that you stood next to that, lost their lives for this country. Mm-hmm. Journalists will not have their jobs without that. That is just bottom line at this point. Scott Pelley, he's never had a hard time, it seems like, in his line of work. And I'm no, person to support CBS here in any means. But, I mean, you got to be kidding me with all this.
Yeah, and that's TV friendly. All right. Yeah. Pride Month, day 8. Luke, allow me to introduce you to Beth, who apparently this is what unemployable people do. They just run for Congress in Massachusetts.
This Pride, we deserve more than rainbow logos. My name is Beth, and I'm running for Congress in the Massachusetts 6th Congressional District. After Trump was elected, my representative, Seth Moulton, tried to throw trans kids under the bus for his political career. And that's why I stepped up to challenge him. Trans people aren't political props, and slapping a rainbow on a bomb isn't support. Congress needs to take real action. I'll guarantee gender-affirming care and reproductive rights. I'll make sure trans people get our passports back. And I'll build housing so people like us can live in Massachusetts.
Did they cut those things really short and close together so that thing could take hits off a helium balloon, or what's going on here?
I'll be honest, I did not listen to that clip with the audio on when I first saw it on social media because I knew it would be popping up on Culture Clash, and I am a little blown away. But I guarantee you, Carl, this person has support in the Democrat Party. This is the best the left has to offer. They will be held up as a champion of fill in the blank, whatever you want to fill in the blank with, and therefore that is now the leader of the Democrat Party.
You know what's crazy too is like I can solidly get away without shaving for like a week and a half and nobody on TV would notice. And that person, apparently a female on hormones, has more facial hair than I do, which is wild. All right, speaking of Pride Month, and I'm sorry for, you're stuck in the middle of this one, Ashley, so here you are. The meal kit company, HelloFresh, which I've heard of, decided to like hop on the board and advertise their product as being, hey, it's good for clearing you out. They wrote, quote, "We know eating isn't always a top priority this month. We respect that. But for those who are prepping, we have extensive lineup of high fiber recipes available. Happy Pride." And then they doubled down and said, bottoms up. What?
Yeah, I had to make a video on this today, Carl, and I can't look at high fiber diets the same ever again at this point. And I think the rest of America feels exactly the same. I think this is a German company out of all things, but I mean, quite the post. They doubled down. They basically made the same mistake that Bud Light made with Dylan Mulvaney. You would think they've learned their lesson, but it's, an annual, wait and see of which company or big corporation makes the next mistake here. And bottoms up is just a step even further. Let's put it that way.
Let's see if enough people that want the, quote, bottom diet are buying your product. It's just like, it's unbelievable. Luke, real quick, some more garbage. WNBA player Brianna Turner says the league should not be wearing the USA 250 patches due to the country's history of slavery. She wrote on X, whoever called the WNBA uniforms star uniforms to have the USA 250 patch should have thought that considering no WNBA players would have been free 250 years ago, the majority wouldn't even have had their freedoms 100 years ago. They went on to say blah, blah, blah. I mean, basically, this is horrible. So I'm sitting there, it's like, so you're admitting that we're a better country now today. Wear the stupid patch, lady. Be thankful.
Yes, stop playing on U.S. soil if you're so torn up about everything that the United States has done to you. And I went and looked, and I think she plays for Vegas. First of all, if I have to Google you and figure out who you are, I don't care about your political opinion. But second, if she's playing for Las Vegas, you could go through and nitpick a lot of things that Vegas did over the last few decades that you could find wrong with. But because they're paying you money, I guess you're totally fine with it. Someone needs to put together a donation portal and build some ticket funds to send people out of the country if they don't want to be here and represent us and fight for us.
I will actually pay for her full price first class ticket the hell out of here if she wants to leave. One way. Just leaving it there. Ashley, Luke, appreciate it. All right, coming up, granola eating, capri wearing vegans. Favorite activity, claiming the moral high ground, all because they recycle. Breaking that scam down next.
My heart has experienced life-changing wins, losses, and countless miles. To keep living at my speed, I trust Cunol CoQ10. CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for heart health. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Thanks to Jointivia, I'm back in the swing of things. Wait, $70 for a refill?
You gotta try Single Care. Just look up your prescription, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and save.
See why more people are saving with Single Care.
Your air conditioning, water heater, and appliances will break down. It's not if, it's when. With a plan from Choice, handling home repairs are as easy as a click, tap, or call. With our nationwide network of over 25,000 trusted technicians, we'll schedule the service, then we'll handle the cost of covered repairs. That's how we make home ownership simple.
Call Choice Home Warranty now and we'll cover over 25 of your key systems and appliances. If one breaks down, your plan can cover the repair or replacement.
Choice Home Warranty will extend the life of your appliances because usually it's like maybe a 2-year warranty that you have on your appliances. I've been in my home 21 years and they have repaired almost every appliance that I have.
We save you time, money, and hassles. No searching, no haggling, no more dealing with technicians who don't show or work that just isn't done right.
Call Choice Home Warranty now for special deals only available on the phone today and ask how to get your first month free. Choice has been named the best home warranty company 6 years running and won awards for the best claim service from U.S. News and World Report 360. There's no home inspection, no commitment. Cancel anytime.
You work too hard to spend your time worrying about the next repair bill. More than 100,000 homeowners have given us 5-star reviews. They've said we make their home ownership easier.
One of the things I loved about Choice was they don't do a home inspection. So I thought, oh my goodness, if they see how old some of these appliances are, maybe they won't take me on as a customer. But they did. I'm so happy.
It's time to make owning your home simple and affordable. As the CEO of Choice Home Warranty, I stand behind it.
Call Choice Home Warranty now and take advantage of our special savings only available on the phone and find out how to get your first month free.
Call 800-494-2419.
The Dutton Ranch. We're back in business.
You heard right. Let's go to work. I'm glad you're making friends, honey.
You're every bit as advertised.
You're damn right he is.
Fighting a good fight, buddy.
If you're still recycling at this point, you're basically uninformed or just virtue signaling, whether you realize it or not. A group did a study by placing Bluetooth trackers on recycled Starbucks cups all over the country. And as I've been saying for years, they all just went in the regular trash. Pretty much all of the recycling goes into the exact same place, the landfill.
Researchers placed Bluetooth trackers inside dozens of Starbucks cups and dropped them into recycling bins at stores across the country. After tracking them for months, they say not a single cup ended up in an actual recycling facility.
Instead, many wound up in landfills, incinerators, or sorting centers where recycling often stops.
This tracks with basically every other available evidence thing that I've put forward and my extensive research, where I went down to the town dump and asked the dude driving the bulldozer, why are you pushing everything into the same pile? We've actually showed you videos like this for quite some time now, where the garbage man dumps both containers into the same dump truck at the same time. That doesn't stop groups, though, like the lid lifters. These people, they're inspecting your trash like they're the president of some homeowners association. There are actually people and groups out there, even governments, that will fine you for not recycling. They're going to love the reality of this segment. Virtually no recycling happens anymore. The reason is cost. It's less expensive to build new glass or new paper cups or plates or whatever than it is to recycle it. Some countries actually used to pay us for our recycling waste, like China up until about 2018. Costs more to get it there now. And we still do export a lot of our trash. Look at that picture right there. We send it to other countries, but instead of recycling it, they either dump it in the ocean, bury it, or some places like that, just straight up burn it. Like these dozens of acres of tires that you can see just like black smoke everywhere. Environmental regs don't allow us to do that here, so we ship it over there so they can do it. Did you know the United States goes through about 250 million tires a year? Millions of those are exported to other countries. Some of them they recycle by retreading them, but most of them they just light them on fire. So at this point, it just has become a group of people who are willfully ignorant, virtue signaling, or grifters. Mostly grifters now. In my hometown of Greenwich, a lot of towns in New England actually kind of went through this. There was this thing called pay-as-you-throw. It's a bunch of people who used to work for Reynolds, you know, the company that makes a lot of products like, trash bags. They broke away and started their own little consulting firm that would then sell special trash bags to towns and people, but only after they passed the law or ordinance that would allow you to only use those trash bags if you wanted to throw your trash away in town. Basically, if you want to throw stuff away anywhere anymore, you would have to buy one of these special trash bags. They're like $2 or $3 per bag, okay? And look, I was on the town council at the time, or the RTM, when they were trying to do this in my hometown. So I started asking all these questions about how much revenue does this company take per bag? How many towns are really happy about this, where it's already been imposed? And who makes the bags? Because as a reasonable steward of the taxpayer money of the town, I wanted to make sure that we were being adequately quoted. Could we get them cheaper somewhere else? And it turns out no towns that have imposed this were happy with it at all. Many have actually repealed it over the first year because it was such a joke and it became prohibitively expensive for families to buy. Like, sometimes you have 3, 4, 5 kids. You got 5 trash bags a day, $3, $15 to $20. I mean, you're spending a ton of money. Turns out the company was making also a ton of money, keeping almost 50% of the profit for themselves on a trash bag. The odd, too, the sole producer of the trash bags at the time looked to be, their former employer, Reynolds. So this company, who boasted that they were cutting back on waste through essentially financial penalties, that were asking us, but the RTM or the town council, to make it a law, they were making a ton of money by selling it as environmentally friendly. It's such a grift. And of course, as with all the climate and environmental people, they claim this high ground of morality as the same people who shame you for being a climate denier. And what's hilarious is most people that claim these things don't actually live in the environment. They say that they're working so hard to protect. They live in concrete towers. They never touch grass. They don't hunt. They don't know anything. They have the most wasteful lifestyles in the world, going to and from their house in the Hamptons. But the bottom line is recycling is a grift. We don't do it anymore, and we just exported our carbon footprint so we can feel good about dropping our one-time coffee cup in a green bin rather than a trash can, and then lecture anybody else who thinks that, you should do this. It's not like a get out of jail free card to be whatever you want to do. You just diminish people who don't think the same way you are. It's unbelievable. And this grift is coming to an end because, honestly, we're just shipping it overseas and they're dumping it in rivers and it's coming back to the same ocean we all swim in. All right, well, before we go, we say it all the time, President Trump could cure cancer, and these Democrats would find some reason to hate him for that. We got their reaction to D.C.'s ongoing beautification coming up next.
The human brain is truly incredible. It's a complex network of 100 billion neurons that create cognitive functions surpassing that of supercomputers. Our brain controls our thoughts, our emotions, and our movements. Prevagen contains apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish, and is designed specifically for the brain to help keep it amazing, so that we can continue to live our best life. Prevagen, for your brain.
My friends, I come to you today on behalf of the Jewish people in Ukraine whose lives have been completely destroyed. Family and loved ones brutally killed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is inside of Ukraine, providing emergency food and supplies to tens of thousands of people.
I am shocked how many elderly people came here. They're afraid, and they realize now that there are more people than boxes.
For just $25, you can help rush an emergency food box to the elderly Jews in Ukraine. Many of them are hungry, frightened, and alone. Today, there's a special opportunity to double your gift's impact. Call now, and your gift's impact will be doubled.
The people of Ukraine are caught in the crosshairs of war. Many of these precious people are Holocaust survivors, elderly Jews who are sick and dying. They have no food, and we must reach them now before it's too late.
The world is in a war again. I am alone. I'm afraid of the bombs. I'm scared. I am old. There is no food.
Just $25 helps rush emergency food to elderly Jews in Ukraine who are in urgent need today. Please call, scan, or go online right now.
I will not starve. Thank you, good people.
We can be the hope to the Jewish people who are suffering in Ukraine. Your help is desperately needed now.
Thanks to generous fellowship partners. Call now and your gift's impact will be doubled.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
From senior to childcare to pets and more, the new Care.com makes it easier than ever to find the care you need. And you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at Care.com.
Just in time for the 250th celebration, the reflecting pool refurbishment is finished. And just like the president promised, of course, we got some crazy libs objecting and refusing to admit that the beautification is actually working.
I would have preferred to keep it like it was.
I think it's an incredible waste of money. I think it's an incredibly stupid idea.
I think it's horrible. The color I've seen on the news is disgusting to me, as opposed to how beautiful it was in the past.
The guy in a cyclist outfit? How beautiful it was in the past. Like, brown covered with algae. I mean, remember in 2012 when Obama tried to fix this and he failed? The brilliant plan for the pool was like $34 million for a pond. Taxpayer money. They promised it would take 18 months. It really took 22. They didn't even get it right. And then within a month, there's like this thick layer of algae over the top. My pond in my backyard looks cleaner than that. Blanketed the surface, unable to reflect anything. It's the reflecting pool. But this isn't the first time Trump has come in and cleaned up other people's messes. Back in the 80s, the Central Park's famous Woolman Rink was in decay, and Mayor Koch, absolutely fumbled the project, way over budget, way longer than promised. And the city's contractors made catastrophic engineering errors. I mean, it's an ice rink. You fill it with water and you freeze it. And they couldn't get that right. And 6 years going, $3.5 million over budget, which at the time was a lot of money. Pipes leaking underground. You can't put together a pipe. Trump shows up and day one was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, you guys are all morons. I'm going to take over this. He instantly fired the incompetent contractors and brought in professional ice rink experts. You would have thought they would have hired those from the beginning. And then finished the project less than 4 months, and which was 2.5 months ahead of his own promised 6-month schedule. 2 months ahead of schedule, $750,000 under budget, and because he wasn't running for anything as a Republican, everybody praised him, Rob.
It is surreal to see how much people are complaining about a beautification of a city that so dramatically needed a beautification.
Yeah.
And the reflecting pond looks incredible.
It does.
And nobody can deny that. And when you do deny that, you look like an idiot.
It reflects.
It reflects, and it's clean, and it's the way it ought to look. It should look nice. We send all our money to that town, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Carl, good to see you.
America.
All right.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.